Welcome to the Made in the Mist podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Now please welcome your hosts, Emma and Dan.
Welcome everybody to another amazing podcast of the Made in the Mist series, where we talk about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs from Niagara. It is the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, and today we have another amazing guest, a local talent, an actress, a stunt woman, a photographer, an entrepreneur, but just overall a big boss. And we have her here today, Brianna Goldie. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming, and we're really excited about this one.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I feel like one nice little intro.
Oh no, well, you deserve it. Like I said, you're so diverse in what you've done, and of course I want to make mention to my co-host here, Emma, who's always with us here, bringing on her best too. So Emma, how you doing?
Hey everyone, we're doing well, thank you.
Got her Christmas sweater on, getting ready for the holidays.
Yes, I'm ready. Wearing green checkered today.
Speaking of holidays, I think you got a lot to talk about the holidays coming up too. But first off, I just want to perhaps you give a quick overview of who you are. I know you're from Niagara Falls. You went to school here in high school, but then you kind of took a turn to go into something that not many people, go into or have the idea to go into, and that is, being an actress and being a stunt woman. So if you can get just a quick overview of, who is Brianna?
Wow. That's I feel like that's like such a loaded question. but yeah, I mean, like you said, I went to high school in Niagara, and it was funny. Something that not many people know about me, but I had scoliosis growing up, and I had my spine actually reconstructed when I was 17. So I had Harrington rods put along my back. There's like 15 vertebrae that are fused essentially. So it's funny because I was a super athlete. Like I grew up, I played provincial baseball. I was like MVP pitcher, MVP player. It was my thing. I was a track star. Windmill. And I was my plan was to go to the Olympics. That was my thing. I had my university picked out. That was the goal. And and then when I was in my early teens, I was diagnosed with this thing because I was in chronic pain all the time. We're what's going on? And then it just kept getting worse. I was it was increasing 5 degrees a year. Surgery zone is after 30% curvatures. I had double curvature.
Oh, wow.
Is 1% a year. I was 5, so it was just getting progressively worse. So it was one of those things where it's okay, do or die, not die, but kind of crushes your organs. So, kind of
it could be die.
So you operated.
So I operated, and then everything changed, right? And it was okay, so I guess the athletic career is off the table. Maybe I'll lean on the arts a little bit. So anyways, I ended up, deciding to do what all people from Niagara Falls who are confused do and move to Toronto.
Classic. Not no more, because we got the hub here, so you got to stay in Niagara.
Yeah, stay here now, exactly. But I moved to Toronto and started, just kind of I just thought I worked at Hard Rock Cafe here in Niagara Falls actually,
wow.
And
so did I.
Oh, no way. There you go.
I worked at Rainforest Cafe. It was closed.
Okay.
Another thing that Niagara
company.
Falls people do is you work at the local tourist attraction.
Probably on Clifton Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a thing, rite of passage, right? So, I mean, I thought I'd be able to get a transfer. I had spoken to the managers from the Toronto branch on Yonge, and they're yeah, no problem. So I was okay, cool. I got a nice cushy job. I was almost 19, I was 18, and and in a few months I'd be 19. I thought, okay, I'll go. So I saved a few $1,000, and packed my bags, got an apartment, and I was all right. And then I got there, and I still had to do the interview process because it couldn't be a straight transfer because I guess Niagara's a franchise. That was corporate. Right?
Oh.
So
who knew?
Yeah, long story short, the interview process dragged out, and I was 7 weeks not working and still paying rent and everything. I'm oh my God. And then I find out at the last bit that I'm not 19 yet. I can't work it there. So
really?
It was oh my God.
Is that a corporate rule they had there?
Yeah,
but
corporate.
in Niagara Falls, you were able to work.
Yeah, because it's franchise.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah. So then, anyways, I had to hit the road same day. Got a job same day. The next day I was working.
No way. Wow. In the service industry.
It was, yeah. Perfect. And then so it bought me a bit of time, and then it was just a series of things where I decided I ended up getting a job at Hard Rock Cafe at Skydome because I was a bit bitter. I was I'm not going back to the other one. I want to watch baseball as I'm serving too, whatever.
Right?
It was cool.
That's what we're talking about, the Skydome back then.
And it's funny because while I was there, I remember there were some people from the Toronto Argonauts that would would come in, and they were like on the sort of management group or whatever, and they're like, oh, you seem like peppy, blah blah blah, like you should like try out for the Argos, like the cheerleading squad.
Oh, there you
so
go.
I was like, yeah, well, that'd be cool. Maybe I will.
Yeah.
So I ended up.
Did you cheer in high school?
I did, yeah,
Okay,
I did.
so you
yeah.
had that experience.
Very athletic,
Very athletic,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
So then I ended up, making the team and becoming, part of that group and everything.
way.
And it's funny because with the picture that was taken from doing that, I was able to get like an agent in the city.
Come on.
And and then I ended up like doing all this like shopping channel, like fitness modeling. So
No
I used to
way.
like model like the Tony Little Gazelle products
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
the
shopping
Suzanne
channel.
Somers
Totally.
thing.
Oh yeah. It was hilarious. And
That's
like you'd be doing
awesome.
like crunches for like an hour straight, like
so
3
cool.
hours a day.
So that's how you got fit. It was all thanks to the
Exactly,
shopping
yeah.
channel, right?
Totally. So that was like my foray, like my beginnings into like the media sort of career,
Wow.
essentially.
And then from that-
You got a
it was-
taste for it.
Yeah, and it was a real pivot because again, when you think like that was like the beginning of the blending of like the athleticism in media, where I didn't think that was even a possibility, right? And it's funny because I started ended up getting into photography because I used to always take a camera everywhere. It was just one of those things. I'd have a disposable camera and take it everywhere.
Yeah.
Then I got a little bit better camera and take pictures of everything. And I had this friend because in the city you meet all these different types, but I had a lot of model friends and stuff. And my girlfriend, she's like, she's like half Asian, half Swedish, as people are, right?
Classic mix.
Yeah, right? And she's gorgeous. And she's like, honey, I need some pictures that make me look a little more Asian. Can you take some for me? I know you like taking pictures. I was like, I've never shot a human before, but, I'll give it a shot. So I ended up photographing her, and they looked like really great. And she's like, okay, you need to start shooting people because this isn't normal to like have your first shoot look like this, that, right?
And that was just
And
with
that-
the regular camera.
it was just,
One that had
like,
the flash
yeah.
and you got to develop after.
Totally.
Yeah, I remember those ones. Yeah.
So anyways, that was like the beginning of the photography element. So, I started really honing my craft, and I actually ended up getting a bartending job at the government nightclub. So it sort of freed up my weekdays. So I ended up leaving Hard Rock, then became a bartender at government. And on weekends, I'd, be like slinging bottles and
remember
doing my
the
thing.
government,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. And it was
exactly.
crazy there,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Great club.
Right.
But that's smart because it freed up your daytime
Absolutely.
to focus on
to
more
focus on like
photography.
really honing my craft. And then at that point, I think I was about 21 where I was ready to take on clients. So I got my first international clients like basically at 21, and started shooting and
Wow.
that was something I was able to do to kind of earn a living like in my 20s.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how that started. And then I kind of got lonely. Like editing can be like so lonely,
Oh,
as
same
I'm
in front
sure
of the
anyone
computer.
who's maybe set to edit this podcast will tell you. It's a lonely process, and I ended up just saying, what, I want to be with a group. I want to be around people. I was still like kind of modeling, doing fitness TV stuff, and I thought, what, that's it. I'm like, I had my ACTRA card. I had like done this commercial for Rona. It was like this playing an Olympian, ironically enough.
Wow. There you go. You made your
Yeah,
dream
there
of
you
going to
go,
the
right?
Olympics just for Team Rona.
First for Team Rona.
Yes.
And then I ended up working actually doing background on a TV show called Suits.
Suits like the Harvey,
Yeah,
the lawyer
yeah.
Harvey.
Yeah, not Harvey Weinstein, but
No. I almost said that. I was like, I gotta make sure, just Harvey. That's why I stuttered like
yeah,
Harvey.
you heard that, the Harvey,
Not the restaurant
Harvey guy.
either.
Yeah.
Great Canadian food.
And then I stared working on that show, with Meghan Markle and the whole crew and
Come
everything.
on.
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
So you're royalty too
Oh,
now.
yeah, well,
I was at her wedding. Yeah.
Are you connected to her on LinkedIn? You're connected on LinkedIn to Megan.
Yeah,
so,
well, obviously.
Wow.
Um,
So what were you just in the background of Suits?
So yeah, just some
That
little-
was shot in Toronto.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's just some little background stuff, and then I started doing crew work, so working like with crews, film crews, and then there's this like weird kind of like I started producing stuff, and I still doing like the odd photography job that made sense.
Yeah.
And then I started like producing these little like shorts and like comedy things and writing more as I was like meeting more people. And I remember I was on set one day, just doing the crew work, and there's this director that was there, and I was like really excited because I'd worked on this project with like this great group, and we were we were in talks like with a really big agency from LA about it, and it was like, okay, we just have to sort of finish the pilot, and they're even looking to maybe package it and move it forward. And And like as we were talking, you know, he was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. But like, what's your athletic background? I'm like, what? I'm like, well, you know, I did gymnastics, I did this. He's like, okay, but let me ask you one question. I'm like, okay. And literally he asked me like dead straight in the eye. And he's like, do you think you could handle a tackle from a full-grown man?
Wow.
It's like, I mean, I'm pretty durable,
Yeah.
but like I had my spine like operated on, you know, because of scoliosis, blah, blah. He's like, well, you know, you just take on whatever you can take on, but you know, I think you'd serve the community well. You already know everything you need to know here, and like your athletic background's super diverse, so you know, it might be worth looking at it. So I was like, you know what? Sure. I mean, and the irony with that is like that industry is very tightly knit. So like the chances of someone just saying, "Hey, kid, you know, you want to maybe start a
tackle
stunt
today?"
career?" Yeah, exactly. Is like so. It just doesn't happen.
Who tackled you? That's
So
why.
yeah, I have been tackled
I
several
hope it was
times
a
by
football
full-grown men
commercial.
since, unfortunately. But yeah, you know, I started training. Like I picked up like because of my dance background and athletic background, I was able to pick up choreo really quickly, and I could sort of make it look like I was a strong kind of badass chick.
Oh, wow.
And then you know I ended up. I was already slated to work on a show behind the scenes, and they needed a stunt double for the lead, and I was a perfect match. So
What show was this?
It was The Expanse.
The
So
Expanse,
it's a
okay.
show, yeah. And so I was started out on Sci-Fi, and then it almost got like lost because it was just an expensive show to produce. Sci-Fi didn't have the full rights. So Jeff Bezos of Amazon, actually, it was his favorite show, so he saved it. Actually,
way.
he actually saved it. He came to set, like he actually
So
saved
you
the
know,
show.
Jeff Bezos, no Meghan Markle. Like, holy, who is this? Who is this woman over
Argonaut,
here?
management team.
Jeez, yeah.
So he ended up kind of like bringing it onto Amazon, and that kind of gave the show like
A reboot?
a reboot, which was awesome. And it was funny because my first day kind of like stunting on set, there was like this rig that was set up, and it was like there's like all these like winches and everything, and there was this one kind of thing that was like people were really struggling with like getting it dialed in and like making it happen like flawlessly kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So anyways, they were like, okay, well, we'll get you in there. We don't, no pressure, but try your best kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because literally we had a pool at my condo, and like I remembered like I knew I was getting into like a gravity situation, so I was like swimming, like doing all this crazy like gravity stuff in the pool.
Everybody's like, what's going on with this
So I
girl?
was like really like working on it, like leading up to it, and then I get in this harness, and I'm like, they needed me to be like laying like kind of on my back, but like suspended, and then they would be kind of pulling me through the chute, and they wanted me to do like a full turn in the air. So they brought me up, and then like gently like touch the ladder on my way up, and then once I got to the top, do like a turn vault, and then stand, and then like land
Gosh,
nicely,
you weren't
right?
lying about
So-
What was the scene? Is
choreography.
it somebody like rising?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
An alien?
Like rising, like anti-gravity from going from like one deck to the next, but just utilizing the
Wow.
fact that there's no gravity,
cool.
right? But we didn't have like the 12-point suspension system like the movie Gravity did.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was like the latest like reference of like what people had in their consciousness of what a good show with like no gravity looks like. So we had to like come as close to that as possible. And it's funny because the show has really been touted for sticking to like the rules of gravity and the rules that
Okay.
yeah,
The physics.
yeah, the physics,
Physics behind
exactly.
gravity. Okay.
So,
great.
so anyways, I get in there and I'm like, okay, you got to do this. So I go up and like, I was just like, da-da-da, like a little angel, right? So I get to the top and they're just like, what the hell? Like how, right? So, and like in my mind, I was like, oh my God, and I'm thinking, oh my, I failed. This is horrible. Like, I feel like it was okay, but was it good enough? And then the stunt coordinator, he was like, he had gone off, I think he had an audition or something, and he came back and he said, yeah, so all the boys are tooting you up saying you're the best thing here. Like,
bee's
congrats.
knees.
I was like, oh my God.
There you go.
Thank God. He's like, well, you got the job, kid.
Come
So,
on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyways, I ended up, that was like my first like stunt double job. And
And that was a few years back?
yeah, that was like, I guess 9 years now. It's been
because
a
of the-
minute. Yeah.
yeah, that's-
I mean, I'm only 21, obviously. But no, basically like that was like where it kicked off, and then from there it was like that went really well, and I'm like, okay, well, she can do this, let's see if she can do this. So I got thrown on a show called Defiance, and it was like a heavy fighting show, and again, I was like a dancer cheerleader, but like I wasn't necessarily a martial artist.
No, but you got
so
tackled.
yeah,
so you can take a tackle.
Yeah, I can take a
so you can
tackle,
fight.
So anyways, I got on that show, it went well, and then at that point I was like, okay, I need to pick up on the martial arts. So I started actually training with like this high performance taekwondo team.
Oh, wow.
They train like it was like a black belt kind of academy, for lack of better words, and they train like half of Canada's Olympians in that program. So I was
and
like,
this was completely new to you.
This
You
was
had no background in martial. I mean,
No.
you had an athletic background, but
Yeah.
so this was a new thing you were trying.
Yeah. So I had to get like the just the physical like mechanics down and
Yeah.
just make it look
Well, it's
right
very
and
fluid
feel
movement,
right.
right?
Absolutely, it's very specific, and you want it to look right, because anyone watching would be like, what's with that roundhouse? What the heck?
Yeah.
So I started training there, and then I picked up like Muay Thai and kickboxing and all these things, because you want to do a good job, and you don't
You're
want
a UFC
people...
fighter as well.
Okay, you don't want to
Add
see
that to
me in
the
back alley,
resume.
right?
Yeah. Don't rip her off on her company. She might come
Yeah.
after you. Yeah.
So anyways, you kind of go through that, and again, I've been hit by cars, I've been through crazy like explosions, I've jumped off buildings, and
Jumped off buildings with like harness or just like parachute?
with the harness. But then there's
That's
always
scary.
that director who's like, we want it to look like there's just more like she's naturally falling, and then it's like, okay, and they'll take the slack off a bit, and then you're just like, then it's just like, okay, no, like even more, and then all of a sudden the person who's like got you on the rope is just like, and you're falling, like you're hitting the
Real
ground. Yeah,
fall.
yeah. So and then half the time like you're in heels or platforms, because women, that's what they wear on TV.
Yeah,
no one
of
thinks
course.
of that, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like,
exactly.
oh, you're a stunt woman, okay. So it's like, I guess you're padded up. It's like our pads are literally like so thin. And it's funny because like with the boys, like the pads that the girls wear are the pads that the boys wear under their pads. Right?
Oh yeah,
I see.
Yeah, so it can be kind of...
It hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It sometimes hurts very much so.
Wow.
But
That's unbelievable.
it's wild. And again, with the back thing and everything, like I was obviously always very conscientious of like what I could do, what I couldn't do. In some ways, I kind of felt like it kept me safe and like reinforced to me in some ways, right? But at the same time, it was always one of those things where I thought, you know what, it's I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Well, not only that, I mean, one bad stunt could ruin your whole career.
Absolutely.
Right?
And again, I had a baby about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Thank you. And that was my game changer,
Hey, it puts life into perspective.
Absolutely. You're not just living for you anymore.
Yeah,
It's
so
like-
now you do the stunts with the baby. Right?
No, yeah, or just like the weight of a baby on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Right?
So that was your new challenge.
That was my new challenge, and I thought, you know what? As much as like it's interesting and fun and everything else, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh my God, like if something bad happens, like everything I've worked for, everything I've done to get to where I'm at is just gone.
Yeah.
And if like my creative ability gone, all these things.
It's like being an athlete, right? And
Absolutely.
getting career-ending injury is like, where do I go from
Where
here?
do I go from here? So.
Which you have a backup
And
plan.
that's exactly it. So, in that time, it was funny. In gearing up for that, we had bought our house, in St. Catharines, actually. And we got into like renovating it. Well, I got it. My husband is not handy at all. And I just got really into it. And and then people, I'd like post little things here and there. People like, oh my God, you should be an interior designer. Can you design my house? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I thought, maybe there's something in this. So I ended up studying at the Interior Design Institute. I got my diploma in interior design. Wow. And I love it. It's just one of my, I'm so passionate about design. Like I walk into any room, I'm like, oh wow, the architectural features here are fascinating.
Very
cool. I take like a mental Rolodex of like, surface materials and how colors go together and the light features and everything.
You're so creative. Yeah.
and for demolition, you can use a Taekwondo.
You're a one-stop shop.
Pillars, that's it. We'll do it all.
Design, demo.
Holy. That's it. Sorry, I didn't mean disrespect Taekwondo.
So yeah. Anyways, with that, it was like, okay, I've got this in my back pocket. I can always do interior design if I don't want to do photography or whatever else. So anyways, I always kind of kept like my equipment up to snuff when it came to photography equipment, and I always kept my skills like up to par, because I'd always shoot like again like things that made sense, like just financially or or even just sentimental things for family and that type of thing. Nice. So So anyways, when the time came, it was like, okay, well, from having a baby, I should position myself to just be at least like ready for something else. Because again, when you work in film and television, the hours are like ridiculous, right? Like 12 hours is like a minimum, like a 13-hour day. And then if you're commuting, becomes a 14-hour day.
Yeah.
So, you know, on average, it's like you're working 14 to 18 hours a day, every day, like 5 days a week, right?
Crazy.
It's nuts. So you get used to that. And then even as a photographer, I was always like kind of like hardcore, you know? And like even when I was like in my shopping channel days, same thing. I'd be working like bartending till like 2 a.m. or sometimes 4 a.m. or 7 a.m. because it's government. After 2, they shut down the alcohol and you're serving Red Bulls and waters to people who just, you know, are just excited about
just
life.
happy to be there.
Right? And then, you know, I'd go from there. I would like get quickly cleaned up, showered up, get on my spandex, and then take a cab or a GO train or GO bus or whatever to Mississauga. The studio was there. And then I'd be literally like exercising and do like 3 sessions there exercising and then go to work again like that night.
No days
and
off.
It was just like, you know, that just became me, you know.
That's the hustle.
It's just the hustle, right?
Yeah.
So
and look where it got you, right?
Right,
If you didn't hustle like that, then you would.
Yeah,
And I know that you have a whole Rolodex of some of the shows, but for some of our listeners, maybe you can give your top 5 shows that you've been featured. I know the Umbrella Academy is one.
Yeah, sure. The Umbrella Academy, I stunt double as one of the leads there. Of course, The Expanse is great. Oh my God, where do we go? I mean, little parts.
Nikita?
Did a little Nikita, but it wasn't stunts then. That was just more kind of like VG and like small little things.
Okay, because I looked at your IMDb.
But oh my gosh, it's like asking like Ransom is a show. It was on
Suits, of course.
Designated Survivor for stunts. Like we're just talking stunts here. Star Trek.
Did you meet D. William Shatner?
No, not the old.
Oh, okay.
The future generation.
The newer ones. Yeah.
He was in Niagara Falls actually not too long ago.
Yeah, no, I haven't met the D. William Shatner. I'll put it on my list.
I don't think you got too much time. He's like 95 years old.
He's gonna live till he's like 120. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
What a summer. That was amazing. I know Emma's been dying to get some questions in.
Yeah,
so
sorry. I'm
pass
like
it
just
over to
talking
her.
away. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, you had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, for being so young and having such a diverse portfolio is amazing. Like you
thank
literally
you.
are the Jill of all trades. Like, that's what you are. You literally are. You have everything under your belt. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So when and what inspired where your business is today? You're a business owner in Niagara Falls. You own a local business on Queen Street. So I feel like do you want to introduce that now?
Yeah,
and kind
sure.
of where all this lead up and foundation brought into fruition the inspiration for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I own a place called Goldie's Museum. It's a 3,000 square foot facility. We are getting our liquor license on Thursday. Yes. Which is so exciting because it is such an effort to get. I started the process in July of acquiring the business license or the liquor license, and I've shed so many tears during that process. But yeah, it's we've got a party room, we've got a lounge, a new cloud lounge. It's super cute. And with the liquor license, we'll be doing like fun signature drinks and bottomless mimosas and all the fun things. But essentially, it is like a photo op shop, so a selfie museum or whatever you want to call it. But there's between 25 and 30 different like creative installations that you can take your picture in and around. And we host birthday parties, bachelorettes, Christmas parties, all just different types.
You
of
do
things.
everything from events to you do professional photography as well.
And then we've got a couple of different like arms of the business. So we have like commercial photography division where we do imagery for businesses. We shoot like small products, food and people.
Amazing.
And then on the other side, we actually have, because people since I have been open and people have seen the space, I've been getting so many requests to do like photo pop-ups in other people's locations or or for events. And it's funny. Yeah, that's how I met you guys.
They're
actually.
at that remarkable women's entrepreneurship conference.
And and again, like so many really great like businesses in Niagara that are like Niagara, the Ice Wine Festival, the Niagara on the Lake Ice Wine Festival.
Yes.
They've asked me to do the same thing. So
wow.
Really great like companies that are just like, hey, they're noticing the work and they're saying, hey, let's can you do this? And so finally I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to have that as like a division of the business because that's what people are asking for. So, you know, I've got like this cool like photo booth set up now, finally, in addition to being able to just create cool installations for people to take their picture in front of.
So what did you start with? Like, what was your original business model
The
for
impetus?
that? And then even when did you need to see like a change or a shift? Like what other than the liquor license, what were other challenges maybe that happened in the early stage that if you had the foresight, you would have maybe
done right out the
changed
gate.
something?
Yeah. So the impetus for it was initially, you know, I thought, you know what, I love working and I want to make sure I'm doing something creative. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just revitalize the commercial photography division and get a commercial studio, because when you have a little one, you can't really do it out of your house.
No,
that's for
absolutely.
sure. And I thought, you know, it'd be cool to have a space where I could just have that. So then I started, you know, I found a realtor and I started looking around different commercial spaces and, you know, but then I had like all these kind of different like ideas. Like as I was like, okay, well, I should probably have design ideas for how I want it to look, you know, before really even deciding on the space and going from there. So then as I was looking, I kept seeing like these like really kind of funky things popping up. And I remember thinking, wow, like what if I did like a selfie museum, right? Like, because I love building things.
Yeah.
Right. So I get to like, I'd be,
And it's dynamic, 'cause you change your
I'd be
sets
like,
all
I
the
get to
time.
like design and change sets all the time. So I get to really nurture that side. I'd get to take photos, which I love, but I wouldn't be stuck just doing that all the time and totally reliant on doing that all the time. And, you know, and I just wanted to be like surrounded by creative energy, I guess, all the time. So I just thought, okay, here's something that like kind of touches so many different things. Oh, sorry. The other thing was that people like taking their own pictures.
Yes.
People have like amazing cell phones now.
Oh,
and like
camera
the
quality is
art of
crazy.
like photography and like hiring a photographer is kind of dying.
Yes, absolutely. Unless it's
So-
like for an event or something like
Yeah,
that, right?
so sorry, that was like one of the main reasons as well. So I'd say those three main reasons was just that, like that's what I wanted. So when I found the building, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep my eye on this, and I'm gonna probably
Tell
pull
us
the
about this
trigger.
building actually
Yeah,
too, because
so-
it's
Quite
significant to you.
iconic, yeah.
You know what? It's an iconic building. It's funny, you know, as you know, the downtown Niagara Falls. It's slowly like reinvigorating,
Yes,
right?
it
There's all
is.
these great little businesses popping up, and there's some fun experiential like businesses even across the street from me. There's an axe throwing place.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's really, really coming
Yeah,
together.
totally.
Kudos to the city and to the BIA for putting the efforts
Yeah,
into that.
absolutely.
It's got like an entertainment district feel
Totally,
to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, there's a painting place near me. There's what's it called? The maze, not the maze, but the
escape
escape
room?
rooms.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, it's kind of cool because it's this little like nook, a little nook in the corridor there. And,
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And then the building, when I saw the frontage, it's like a historic building. It used to be a bank. So there's an actual vault in there, like a legit vault. It's decommissioned, but it's legitimate. Like the door is like 400 or 500 pounds.
Wow.
So you try to push it, it's nuts. And I just saw the building. I thought, you know what, this place is so cool. Like, and I just saw the potential of it. Like, you know, and even though there's still like the downtown still needs a bit of work,
Yeah.
I just thought, you know what, maybe this could breathe a bit of life into here. And regardless as to like what's going on around it, the building's so different that even if someone is coming for like a special event, like a shower or a birthday or whatever, they're still gonna feel special walking into this building.
Yes, exactly.
So that was like the main thing. And then again, it was just huge. It had the high ceilings, so much natural light. And again, as a photographer, it's like you just see those features and it's like, oh, like this is so great.
Perfect,
You
yeah.
can get these nice photos without having too much supplemental lighting, and it makes it just easier for someone who, if they are taking pictures with their phone, it's not going to be that hard. So yeah, that was like from a artistic perspective and even just just a comfortability perspective. That was the reason.
So why ultimately did you choose Niagara Falls? Because it's partly your home, and you just
Yeah.
in the tourism and hospitality industry as well is there.
Yeah, that's a huge component, right? Especially if you have a business where it kind of relies on like many different customers coming
Which
through.
is wild because you started a business during a pandemic.
Totally.
Which is like
The end of
not
a pandemic.
unheard of,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you've been able to make it successful.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Awesome work there.
Thank you. but yeah, it was like, okay, I could do it in St. Catharines because, you know, that's where I technically live. But then I thought, like, how many people are going off the beaten path to go to a place in St. Catharines when Niagara Falls, like, people, that's like a rite of passage in life, unless, you know, there's like financial inhibitors that prevent you from coming to Niagara Falls.
Yes.
You're going to Niagara Falls at some point in your life.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So I thought maybe that's the best place.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big factors in deciding officially on Niagara Falls, just in general.
And have you seen a lot of tourists come to your place?
Yeah,
your
it's kind
attraction?
of been an interesting thing. So when we talked about like kind of barriers or things that like I wish I knew out the gate, when I opened my doors and you know, I thought, okay, this is like such a cool, funky place. It's like so unusual, blah blah blah. It's gonna be like rammed with people just coming off the street. It's gonna be great,
Yeah,
like Clifton Hill. It's gonna be this, you know.
Pandemic what?
And then you know, and then there's a couple of like street festivals during the open time. I thought this is great. And then people would like kind of like they see it. Everyone always stops in front of the building because it's like there's a lot of pink on it, and
Hot
it's like
pink door.
very interesting facade, and it looks fun, and it is fun. But people would kind of like come to the entrance, and again, it's like very glam chic, right? As you guys know, right? It's like very glam, and then the murals on the wall, and like the angel wings, and there's so much going on, and people would come in and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is so pretty." I'm not ready for this. Like, I'm not ready to take a picture right now, you know?
Yeah, 'cause it's,
and
one
it was
shot. I got one shot for this.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because there's part of me where I'm like, oh man, did I make this too pretty? Crap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people are perceiving this as like an event space where they want to come back, and they do come back, but they bring like 4 or 5 people with them, you know, for a birthday or special event. So I guess that's good, but there's this latent thing that happens with the business.
Bit of a learning
Yeah.
curve for people
Yeah.
of like, you can dress up if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, but I you know, I didn't really anticipate that, right? So the thing for me was like, okay, well, I have them in the door. I can't, like, how do I prevent them from going, even if they're not ready for this experience? So then, hence the liquor license, and like the little mini cafe, you know, thing where it's like, okay, well, now I guess, like, if people, even if they're not ready, they can still get a feeling for the brand. You know, now I'm basically opening up a quarter of the studio to have like seating and to have, you know, like some like little tables and seating amongst some of the installations there in the front, so that people can kind of really like get a feeling for the brand and like enjoy the space.
There's
And
some
like,
They get a full experience.
yeah, exactly. And they can be like, okay, this is cool. Like I got to come back when I'm ready to go. But they can still have, you know, a little champagne or a little, like, you know,
A tour at the bare minimum of
get a sense for it. And then eventually when they come back, you know, they can do the whole thing, right? So that was sort of like the something, again, I didn't anticipate, but I think now that I'm like just embracing it, and then again I embraced the idea that, okay, maybe this is like really a party space. So it's like, okay, I started making like packages that were just like very cookie cutter and easy for people to be like, oh, okay, if I want to party and I don't want, like, I want to be hassle free, what do I need? And it's like, okay, well, we've got catering packages available, we've got, you know, and like, again, all local vendors, all done that
all
way.
the complimentary services
Like
fit
even like
into your brand.
paparazzi, you want like you want to go hands free and have great pictures of your guests, you got a paparazzi vibe happening. So just little things that make like a visit like fun and interesting and like tailored to that person.
Well, and the good thing is that, you know, you can have returning customer because your sets are always changing. I know that
Yeah.
now you've been working
Yeah.
on some holiday sets.
Absolutely.
Seasons.
Yeah.
Can't wait
yeah.
to see those.
Yeah, no, they're super
How many
fun. They're
holiday
cute.
sets do you have right now?
So, goodness, let's see. I think about seven.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That was a whole thing. I was like, okay, I've got like a week between like Christmas and when the Christmas market, sorry, not Christmas, but Halloween and when the Christmas market started.
Oh, yeah,
And I was
absolutely.
like, I got to flip these ASAP. So it was just like, I got my painting brush out. I started like even working on the lounge, the little cloud lounge too. And I was just going ham. And I was like, okay, like my husband, I was like, hubby, you know, just hold down the fort for a few
Watch
days.
the kid. I'm busy.
I'm getting into construction.
Add that to the list.
Yeah. So yeah, that was basically like the holiday conversion, and now again with the liquor license, like moving forward, people can be even more return customers where they can just come for some cool drinks when maybe, or even you guys swing by after a long day and have a drink, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and you need that in downtown Niagara Falls. There's only a couple of little taverns and restaurants you can actually go to for that. So it'd be nice to have something a little bit more upscale.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is like now when you're able to sort of monetize in that way, it doesn't necessarily become this thing where it's like, oh, like I'm losing, like if I invite people into the space, I'm losing like the monetary value that is like intrinsic in that, like it's a photo taking space, right? So for example, if you have a liquor license, like you could, I've been approached by this woman who she hosts like a book club, right? And there's like 40 ladies that come out and they read books and like they like, kind of like drinking, and so on, or 40 or 60, but like only say 40 would come to that type of thing.
Back to the book club for them. So my mother-in-law has a book club, and all they do is just drink wine.
Totally,
They don't read books; they just drink wine.
Totally.
I want to go to one.
Yeah, and she was just like,
I don't read anyways.
they're drinking wine, blah blah blah. Let us know when you have the liquor license, because I think it'd be a cool spot. And I thought, that's interesting, because then it doesn't become like they're not there to like take pictures and whatever. They're there to just have a really cool, interesting environment,
the venue.
read some books, and get a little tipsy, right? and then I got thinking like, wow, that's a business model that I can really appreciate, where it's not so much about, because sometimes even with like bachelorette parties or a group, everyone in the group has to be like complicit, like with like getting their picture taken or taking pictures, and there's always that person who's like, I have my picture taken, I could, so sometimes like that one person could like turn that group into like, oh well, we're gonna go to Battle Axe instead, or whatever. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So instead of making that a barrier, it's like there's always, if that person doesn't want their picture taken, they will still have a Mai Tai.
Yeah, the photo op is voluntary.
And not the martial arts one. Not the drink. A Muay Thai.
A Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have named the drinks after martial arts.
Exactly.
A Muay Thai, Muay Thai.
Yeah, the Muay Thai. But and that's a very important lesson to a lot of entrepreneurs is, you have to think about diversifying your revenue streams.
Absolutely.
Because you can't just stick on one, because if that, for whatever reason, goes under or is not as lucrative as you thought it was, then that could put a big detriment to your business. So you always want to make sure that you have, a diverse revenue stream, or diverse revenue streams, I should say.
Well, especially in the beginning, again, until like it becomes like a brand thing where people, they're like, okay, we know of this place, we're booking it into our itinerary and we're going. Then, until that happens, like I know for a fact I'm not getting the walk-ins off the street. It's just not happening, right? So it's like until, I can depend on like a volume business, it's like you have to have things that make your business durable, right? And that's, really engaging the locals, engaging, people with different options for the space, right?
Well, and too, is it you opened up late summer, was it?
August, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, you kind of missed that season where you have people walking on the street, right? Now the weather's getting cold. People are busier with kids in school and students in university and stuff like that too. So hopefully next summer you have a lot of walk-ins too.
And again, that there'll be more awareness there, and I'll be doing a lot more like sort of campaigns. And again, how do you market a business that doesn't exist and you don't have the imagery for yet? You have to lock all that imagery in.
Absolutely.
So that was like a whole nother thing. Like basically it's like the first couple months you're pretty much like setting up your Instagram and Facebook page, like literally, in a business that's like as highly visual as it is.
Well, and it's new, right? There's not too many selfie museums around. It's a relatively new concept, right? It's not like you're opening up a restaurant where you can follow templates.
So,
like people know photo ops maybe, but an entire studio dedicated to an experience, and it's engaging, interactive. It's something that is new, but I think with time you're right.
And the nice thing about it though so far is like the experience that like when people have come through, they're like, oh my god, this is amazing, like this is like thank you so much. And then I've had like already a few like repeat customers that are like, okay, let me know when like your next set is, or I'm bringing my and people brought like their mom the next time, or they're like the kids they babysit or whatever, and it's like kind of this experience that can be it's an all age experience,
and it's very affordable too. Still, and
absolutely.
you can do group packages, and you said you do tailor a lot, like group packages and cater. Like there's a lot that you can pick from, right?
Yeah. So that's sort of it. It's been so interesting, and again, such a learning curve, and like now it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and then he was just like, he's like, hey, so like with the liquor license, like you have a bar now? I'm like, You know what? Yeah, I do. I have a bar in Niagara Falls.
So
You
you're
know
gonna be
what?
serving Red Bulls and water after 2 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're back to the ground.
That's where it all started.
Everything goes full circle.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those funny things where it's like, wow, okay, you know what? And like really like that conversation, it's so funny. You have these like weird light bulb moments where, you know, at first I kind of pictured like the licenses like, wow, people can like just loosen up and drink champagne. And now it's like, no, actually it could be like a little bit of a bar, you know, or a little bit of like a thing where, you know, people can just like kick back and come in, right? I could have like fun artistic nights where it's like, okay, we got an art club in the back if you want to drink here, if you want to do that, and like have some wine here if you want to drink here, if you just want to take photos. We got a photo booth here, you know, and just have this fun interactive thing where
People, really value those.
yeah.
Well, not only that, like I know from a lot of family events and a lot of staff events is that, you know, when people do have a little bit to drink, they feel a lot more relaxed, right? So they're more willing to take pictures because they don't care as much, right? As opposed to being all uptight, right?
Yeah.
So you're actually adding to your business model too, by doing that.
And
So
we've got, you've seen the silly props, the top hats, the
everything.
tutus, you know,
That's
and people
awesome.
get those on. I feel like when people put on a tutu for the first time, it's like it changes them.
Addicted now.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
No, because I'll never forget. So again, with like the pop-up thing, I was asked by the Wise girls to do an event on the golf course, like in the summer, and I was just
Set up a
little pop-up like photo op thing, and I'll never forget. You know, there's like a bunch of the groups that would come in. I had the little activation. I was calling it like tee off in a tutu, right?
Oh, okay.
And you know, basically they put the tutu on, and then I'd get a shot of them where they were like golf driving like a ball in this tutu, and it just looks so iconic, you know, with like the green grass and then like the blue or pink tutu, and then, you know, this like athletic, you know, person
It's
just
such an
driving.
oxymoron,
Totally,
right?
you
It's
know,
like
and
golf is supposed to be a prestige sport, and you're putting tutu. That's awesome.
so just the pictures look so fun and great. And then there's this one lady, and she's like you could tell like she's maybe like a gym teacher or something. She looked like a straight up athlete, like she, you know, it kind of like a Silk and Laman vibe, right? And she comes up and she's just like, oh, so like we're supposed to put on tutus, and I'm like, well, you know, everyone's doing it. You guys would be kind of like the first people who aren't going to if you're not. She's like, all right, hand it over. So she puts it on, and literally, they're so happy. She threw her arms out. She was so excited. And I got these amazingly fun, crazy pictures. And like, she was just like on fire. One lady was like spinning, dancing across the golf course. And I just thought, wow, like it's just such a funny like thing in dressing up and like just stepping outside of like your own physical comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the experience you bring, because you know, a lot of people don't like to get their photos taken or they like to take selfies, but you're providing them that, you know, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it, right? You're gonna do it, and you're gonna be addicted. You're gonna love it, right?
And it's like such a kooky space. I mean, you guys have seen it, right?
Yeah.
There's like, there's like, you know, cloud murals everywhere, and there's like a fun Barbie box.
Even having the ring lights on wheels is so smart too. So you can bring the lighting with you everywhere. Like, you're a true photographer.
That's awesome. So what's next? What's next for you? I mean, are you still going back to doing a lot of those stunts?
So I mean, Umbrella Academy, I believe we're starting shooting in February. So yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I still get asked to do stunts. I'm not always like available to do them.
But you can be picky because you're like, this is
sort
what
of.
I
I mean,
want.
and again, like, you don't necessarily like want to be like the person who's like picking and choosing their jobs per se. But you know, it's just like I've been just very mindful, and like I'm working with coordinators that I trust. You know, because like there's certain people and certain teams and groups that like you feel like they're your family, like they want to protect you, and they treat you like a daughter or something, and you need that in a job where anything can happen.
For sure.
Right? Like death is not an unfamiliar thing in the stunt world. It does happen.
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard many stories.
So you know, you want to, especially for me, like, you know, like I said, I'm really prioritizing my family. It's just I want to make sure that I'm okay, right? So, you know, I definitely have, you know, Umbrella Academy in the future there, and you know, and again, we'll see how that goes with relative to my schedule with the studio, but yeah, you know, for the most part, like I'm just really diving in with everything with the studio, and you know, I really want to just have like fun, different events that are just like wild and different, and you know, just I want to see the space like just filled with creativity, and like, I don't know, there's a part of me that like wants to do like poetry slams and like things that are just so like different and and just so, you know, that just really like embrace the arts. And I don't know, that's
I think
like
the potential's endless for
yeah,
this museum. For
yeah,
sure.
thank you,
Yes.
thanks.
So, and then even I wanted to go over some tips and tricks, because I know throughout the podcast we've been leaving tidbits of advice, but even just to narrow it down of like your top 5 early stage entrepreneurs who, you know, wanted to kind of do it all as what you've kind of like motherhood and background and professional life and photography, how you manage all of it, and just your top level tips.
Okay, so I think, I mean, the biggest one is make sure you have very supportive people around you. I think that is the biggest thing, whether it's in your home or just people that just really cheer you on and love you and have your best interest at heart.
Almost a cheerleader.
Yeah, absolutely.
Preference factor for being an Argos cheerleader.
So I think that that's just such a big thing. Like, I could not do any of what I'm doing without my husband. Like he's just so lovely. So he's perfect. I'm the luckiest woman in the world.
He's lucky too. Goes both ways.
So I think that is huge. Number 2, and that kind of ties to number 1, is like, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. You know, and that goes with like with whether it's with your family or coworkers or colleagues, you know, because there's people out there who will give you advice that will help you take shortcuts that you would otherwise have to go, you know, through a lot of heartbreak to learn yourself, right? So I think that that's something that's like really helpful. I mean, don't be afraid to take risks, I think is another one, because, you know, nothing that's worthwhile is easy.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Including having kids.
Including having
It's a risk.
I'd say number 4 would be.
You don't have to get 5.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and then make sure, you know, prioritize your family, you know, and make sure that like everyone is getting what they need. You know, sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the crazy hours and in the hubbub, and, you know, and even if like you're stressed, you know, you don't take it out on your family, don't take it out anywhere it doesn't belong. You know, just embrace the people that love you and give them everything you can.
Just
you know?
take it out on Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Get into the martial arts.
And then I think the last would be, don't be afraid to pivot.
Yeah.
Right?
Basketball.
Yeah. Just, you know, sometimes like life throws you curveballs and you think things are going one way.
Joke.
And,
Okay.
and suddenly, you know, it goes another way and you're like, man, like, okay, I'm gonna let's try this.
Yeah.
So
You almost have to enjoy the process.
yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
You have to, because you're not going to eliminate those things. It's not going to pan out perfectly. So
No.
if you, like you said, if you choose to more enjoy the process, be thankful and grateful for the process, then it pays off more, I think.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, I mean, that was amazing. We talked a long time. It was awesome because it was so engaging, and like your experience, what you've been through in life to get to where you are is like just, you know, nothing short of amazing. Like I said, it was a very diverse background, very different background from a lot of entrepreneurs that we've seen that kind of took the traditional way to entrepreneurship. You kind of found your way there through trying a whole bunch of different things, and we're extremely pleased and impressed with your whole rubric of stuff that you have, and we're really excited to follow your business, or we will be following your business. I think we're planning a holiday party at your location coming up soon, get our own selfies there. So I just wanted to, before we go, where can people find information about you, other than IMDb, about you, about your business, and anything else they need to know about you?
Yeah, so you can find our website at www.goldiesmuseum.com. You know, and everything you need to know is sort of there with regards to the business, the photo ops, like offsite, the commercial photography as well, and then of course the experiences that we have available, and then I mean we're on Instagram, so just Goldie's at Goldie's Museum on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We don't really use Twitter that much.
Nobody does.
Sorry, Elon.
Come on.
And TikTok as well.
Of course.
So that's where you can find me, and and otherwise, you know, don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. You know, we're always open and excited for, you know, just new ideas and opportunities and collaborations. So Yeah.
Amazing.
Excellent.
And then,
Thank you.
Emma, where can people find the podcast?
Yes, of course. So this podcast, it's the Made in the Mist podcast, brought to you by the Spark Innovation Educational Center. So follow us at Spark Innovation Canada. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. And again, we were amazed at everything you did. Happy holidays to all of our guests. This will be our last podcast for the year. We will be resuming in 2023 with another amazing local entrepreneur who has made it from just a thought to a business. So thank you once again, Brianna. It's been an amazing time here with you, and we're looking forward to following your business. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and we look forward to greeting you again in 2023 with our next podcast. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having me.